Hello everybody, my name is Sachin Bhandari and you are watching the Story Coach YouTube channel. This channel is all about business storytelling and great communication. Now, I'm sure that there have been instances when you've had the best intent, whether it is through a product or a service or a startup that you're forming, or a project that you wanted to handle or the team that you wanted to manage, but still, no matter how good your intentions were, your audiences, whether it's your boss, your clients, or your team members, they probably did not trust you as much as you wanted them to. Now, this is what I'm going to talk to you about in this video. Okay, so the story goes like this. There's a friend of mine, her name is Lakshmi Sharath. She's one of the best travel bloggers in India. She's been travel blogging for a long time, and she got in touch with me a few weeks ago and mentioned that she wanted me to get connected with this gentleman called Amit Jaipuria, who has a social or building a social media platform called postcard.travel. Now, I was mildly interested, but only because of Lakshmi. In my years of travel blogging and travel writing, I have come across many such initiatives, and more often than not, I find them to be not so exciting. So I said yes, but I wasn't really expecting a lot out of the interaction with Amit. And because we were all so tired with Zoom calls, I decided to get on a normal call with Amit one of those days. And Amit called me, we had a chat. He was telling me that he was building a platform for travel storytellers to share their unique travel stories, because he felt that other social media platforms aren't giving you the space to narrate interesting stories. So far so good, and like I said, I was earlier mildly interested. Even that time I was only mildly interested, but something happened after that which changed the energy of the conversation. Now I'll tell you what Amit did. So Amit mentioned to me that he was sick and tired of the entire algorithm game that most social media platforms play, and how a lot of content creators actually have to live and die by the algorithm. So it's almost like feeding the devil on a regular basis, because if you don't do that, then you are going to lose reach. And in this, what has happened is that unique voices or unique stories or unique perspectives are getting lost out, while everybody is just following hollow trends. And while he mentioned that, it almost felt as if I was talking to myself. I mean, of course I wasn't. It was Amit who was talking to me, but I really resonated with what he was saying, because I myself have been at the receiving end of these algorithms, and I have not really enjoyed being a content creator, especially in the travel space with Instagram, etc. that much. So I was like, wow, this person is thinking the same thing or the same problem that I have, only that he's actually trying to create a solution for it. While I'm busy with creating solutions for other things, which is communication. But it really gave me a reason to connect and a reason to believe in Amit. And after that, I didn't really care too much about postcard.travel's traction, how many people it had, because for me, the intent of what Amit was doing was fairly clear. And not just clear, I also felt that it was something that I could get behind. So I accepted his invitation. Very soon I'm hoping to start my profile and start sharing a lot of my travel stories, not necessarily these stories, which is more focused on business and career communication, etc. Those travel stories I will be narrating on postcard.travel. But that entire interaction or the experience actually taught me a thing or two, and that's about how to communicate intent. And I've thought a little bit about it, and I'm going to share some tips with you which will help you communicate your intent in the best possible way whenever you're faced with an audience which needs to know why you're doing what you're doing and why should they follow your call to action. Okay, so yes, like I said, Amit Jaipuria convinced me that he was facing the same problems that I did with social media platforms, as far as not being able to narrate unique travel stories, and that's why I decided to become a part of his platform. Now, when I thought deeply about Amit's approach and about communicating intent, I realized that a lot of the work that we do with startup founders and with leaders is kind of similar. And a lot of people actually communicate with what they want their audiences to do, whether it's a team member or a client or somebody else. But the why part of it remains sort of, under a mystery, and that is why most people believe that, oh, this guy is selling a product to me only because he wants to make money. Oh, my leader or my boss wants me to do something just because he wants to look good. Or partners don't trust us because they feel that we are going to gain something while they are going to be at the losing end. So mostly people believe that there's a win-lose relationship at offer, but you could actually substitute that, or substitute your communication or add to your communication by narrating the why. So my first point is that you always ask yourself the question, why are you doing what you're doing beyond functional reasons? So for instance, you could be starting a startup, you could be a leader of a particular team, you could be a CEO of a company. The question is, why are you there and what are you trying to achieve? So the why is really important. So the functional reasons could be money, could be profit, could be revenue, etc. But beyond that, what is it that you are trying to do and why are you in that particular role? So think about that. So for me, I think when I think about Amit's conversation, I realized that for him, it was about, he believes that stories need to be unique, or unique stories need to be narrated. And then he finds that a lot of the social media platforms actually are not giving this opportunity to creators. That's a strong why. There could be many more. It could be about the fact that he doesn't enjoy, or he doesn't like the fact that all content creators have to be slaves to algorithms. So you could list out all the whys that you have in your mind and move on to the next question. Second question is, what are your beliefs linked to the product or service or a particular initiative? So all of us have our sets of beliefs, and that's why, you could have two people who've seen the same event but with different lenses. It also has to do a lot with our preconceived notions and the beliefs that we have in our minds all the time. So second, you need to figure out what are the beliefs which are linked to that particular product or service. Now again, these could be 2 or 3 or more than that, but the point is to list them down before you move to the third question, and that's the final question. And that one is about, what is it that the emotional, philosophical or the functional problem that your audiences, which are maybe users, customers, investors, team members, facing. So let's say I am Amit's audience, and Amit realizes that for me, of all the things that he's talking about, being a previous content creator, the fact that it's difficult for me to narrate unique stories and get an audience is something that will resonate with me. Now that becomes his communication, that becomes a statement to communicate his intent, and that's what he used. So the point is, you look at your why, you look at the beliefs, and then you look at the customer or the user or the audience's problems, and then try to match your beliefs and your why with the customer's problems, and then narrate those problems. A lot of people say that you should always directly focus on the solution, and that is how you can get people to actually buy your product or to follow your call to action. I don't think that necessarily is the case. In some cases, it's important to also highlight the problem, to also ignite this trigger in the audience's mind that this problem that I'm talking about is really important. So over there, if you do not talk about the problem, that feeling is never going to get ignited. So the customer or your audience is facing 100 different problems. How are you going to bring the problem to which you have a solution to their priority list? And in that case, it becomes very important to communicate your intent, and over there you also need to find a match with the audience's issues or the frustrations that they are facing. So this is something that we do in our founder storytelling coaching program as well, where we try and help founders, leaders, CEOs, etc. find out a lot of the answers to questions about how to communicate in the best possible way with their audiences. So I guess, yes, that's that. Those were the communication tips. I hope you find them useful. But like I always say, that it's good to know stuff, but what's more important, to be able to put it into practice. So unless and until you try and test out these things over a period of time, you'll never know whether these tips actually work or not. So please go ahead and test them out and write back to me in the comments or anywhere else to my email ID, which is sachin@thestoryco.in, whether you found these tips useful or not. And a little bit about the Storyco: we are business storytelling coaching and training firm. We help leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals use the power of stories in their communication through our bespoke training and coaching programs and also workshops. So feel free to ask any questions related to communication in the comments. So either I or one of my colleagues will definitely get back to you. Till then, keep communicating the right intent. It really matters. That's it from me in this video. I'll see you in the next one pretty soon.